and let us all do we can to build a better future.
This has to do with 9/11 families and the memorials that they attend, and Biden trying to get press coverage and just get pictures taken of him being there.
Photo op.
Yeah. So nearly 1,800 Americans directly affected by the September 11th terrorist attacks are opposing Joe Biden's participation in any memorial events this year unless he upholds his pledge to declassify U.S. government evidence that they believe may show a link between Saudi Arabian leaders and the attacks. The victims' family members, first responders, and survivors will release a statement Friday calling on Biden to skip the 20th anniversary events in New York and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon unless he releases the documents which they believe implicate Saudi officials in supporting the acts of terrorism. I mean, we know already that so much of terrorism in the Middle East is either tied to Saudi Arabia, which we fund Saudis to do, or CIA directly. I still remember that case where the CIA-backed terrorist group got into combat with the Pentagon funded terrorist group, and they're like, no, don't do that. We're
They're like our uncontrollable Frankenstein monster.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
what we've created.
And we just make more. If there's more, just make more. It'll take care of itself. Anyway, the group says that as a candidate, Joe Biden pledged to be more transparent and release as much information as possible, but that his administration has since ignored their letters and requests. Quote, since the conclusion of the 9/11 Commission in 2004, much investigative evidence has been uncovered implicating Saudi government officials in supporting the attack. This statement says, quote, through multiple administrations, the Department of Justice and the FBI have sought to keep this information secret and prevent the American people from learning the full truth about the 9/11 attacks. Among the documents the group seeks are supporting evidence found during a widespread FBI investigation into the attack that examined alleged Saudi links and was completed in 2016. Brett Eagleson, whose father Bruce died at the World Trade Center, said he was one of the co-signers. Collectively, we are at our wits' end with our own government. Quote, we are frustrated, tired, and saddened with the fact that the U.S. government for 20 years has chosen to keep information about the death of our loved ones behind lock and key. But, the Saudis give us a bunch of oil, so,
And abuse their women.
Yeah, of
and
course.
are engaged in so many human rights
everything
abuses.
America stands for.
Absolutely.
Sued Eagleson, who's among the group's victims' relatives, who filed a federal lawsuit accusing Saudi Arabia of being complicit in the attacks. While the 9/11 Commission report found that Saudi Arabia had been a problematic ally, particularly when it came to sharing intelligence, the investigation found no evidence implicating Saudi leaders in the attack. The Commission staff found no evidence that the Saudi government, as an institution or as an individual or as individual senior officials, knowingly support or supported Al-Qaeda. However, a lack of awareness. By the way, does everyone remember that hijackers were Saudi? Osama bin Laden was Saudi. I mean, we've covered so many of these stories. It's
all out there on
yeah,
Google, man.
exactly.
And it's legitimate news sources. This isn't a rabbit hole anymore.
You know what? Jerry's not wearing a black shirt. I just have to clear things up to make this make more sense. You're wearing a green shirt right now. Anyway, it did, however, identify Saudi nationals as a major source of funding for Al-Qaeda. No, I guess they're separate things. It's like, hey, I don't support this group. I just fund them. The Saudi government has denied any connection to the attacks. So, Joe Biden, thank you for not doing anything. You were definitely the reincarnation of Herbert Hoover. I was actually just talking about this with Faze right before. We had Hoovervilles and Hoover blankets before, and we have Bidenvilles coming right now. And at some point, you're gonna buy your own setup, is you're not ever gonna give these people money that you've put in debt. They're gonna get kicked out, and we are gonna go right back to the conditions of the Great Depression. Congratulations, Joe Biden. You've continued to be useless, barely alive, and the only administration everyone also locks in your vice president as if they matter for decision making.
Look, these families are doing what advocates of Force the Vote did back in January. They're using their voices, they're using the position to force demands from our president to follow through on promises that he made. And if he's not going to follow through, get the F out. You're not welcome here. I saluted the women who are finally stepping forward against Cuomo. I salute these families. This is what protest, this is what using your right to protest and free speech and demanding results from your elected officials is supposed to do. I really, really hope that they manage to hold out and keep him from attending if he's not going to answer directly. I mean, even if he answers directly, he's not going to follow through on what he promised. And I hope that there's more press and publicity shedding light on what they're doing and what he's not doing to make the point that these families have not been made whole. We need to know answers in regards to 9/11 and the Saudi links that have been covered up for decades because of American policies in other countries for imperialism. And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But it's disgusting. Look, he broke this promise. He's broken every promise. I had posted a meme on my Facebook where it's ironic to me. Every promise that Biden and the Democrats made, every promise that they've broken is essentially Republican policy. So when I hear Republicans complaining about Biden and Harris, I'm like, you should be cheering Biden and Harris and all these neoliberals in Congress because they're doing everything that the Republicans want. Are you missing the fact that they're doing the same thing just because they have a D behind their name, and instead of actually looking at the policies and the broken promises that they're not following through on, that are literally punishing Americans all across the country, whether it comes to student loan forgiveness, extension of the eviction moratorium, Medicare for all, which we're screaming from the rooftops with our hair on fire literally every other broadcast. Look, salute to these families, and I just hope that there's more media attention put on this because he can't be allowed to continue getting away with this without people shining a light on it and not letting them continue to get away with this. I mean, the gaslighting that comes from Biden and the administration and these broken promises is just, it's gaslighting. It's insane.
Can you just imagine if after all this, he just goes to these anyway?
He goes where?
If he goes to these memorials
Oh.
anyway. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm here for the photo op. I don't really care about you people. I just want the good look of being in this spot. And of course, he's going to be surrounded by security. So
I'm expecting that's what he'll do.
Yeah.
And he will be as not grouchy. He will be as ornery, and he's always and contemptuous towards those who are asking him the hard questions. He does this all the time. Well, not all the time, but there are those moments that he has where suddenly the real Joe Biden, the nice grandfatherly face gets peeled back, and you see the real Joe Biden underneath, the Joe Biden that denies the harassment claims of Tara Reade, the Joe Biden that will challenge people to push-ups when they're asking him, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Come on, fat. Anyway, he's disgusting.